Morning, everyone. It's so nice to see you. It's wonderful to have such a big crowd today. Thank you for coming to Bear Creek's Lower School Open House for grades kindergarten through 4th grade. My name is Christy Hazeltine. I'm the Director of Admissions here at Bear Creek. And I am so excited that this is the first time in 3 years that we've been able to have an open house and be able to show people into, near the classroom, the rooms, specialist rooms, library. You're going to see it all today. So this morning we're going to give you a broad overview of Bear Creek. We'll have a question and answer time, and then we'll take you on guided tours. So to start the morning, it's my pleasure to introduce our president and headmaster, Mr. Patrick Carruth.
Well, good morning again. Good to see everyone. Nice big crowd today. We're glad you took some time to join us. I'm Patrick Carruth, President and Headmaster of the Bear Creek School, and on behalf of the Bear Creek School, I'd like to say welcome. We've been here up on the hill for, well, not just on the hill, but we've been here for about 30 years at the Bear Creek School, providing high-quality Christian liberal arts education in a nurturing environment that enables your student to become the individual God intends. And we hope today you get a sense of that, get an understanding of philosophically and theologically how we're put together, and then how all the details work themselves out in the classroom, and get a little bit of a taste of what the mission of the Bear Creek School is. So again, thank you for joining us. I'm going to pray for us, and then our Vice President for Academic Affairs, Ms. Blankenbeckler, is going to come up and talk a little bit more in detail about why we do what we do and how we do it. So if you join me in prayer. Father, we are grateful to be here today. We're thankful that you have brought all these folks to the Bear Creek School, and that you've given us the time to be together as a community. We pray that as they walk through the halls and as they listen to us speak, that they'll get a sense of your work here and the mission of the Bear Creek School. We are grateful for your grace that sustains us each day, and we're grateful for the time. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. So, Mrs. Karen Blankenbeckler, our Vice President for Academic Affairs.
Well, good morning. We're so glad to have you here. Welcome to our school. And I think you're going to find as you walk around that we are very passionate about what we do here. We believe the mission of this school, and this is my 33rd year at the Bear Creek School, and I'll tell you a little bit about that, the history of when I first started, because I think it'll help you understand our mission a little bit more. So Nancy Price was our original head and founder, and she moved up to this area from California, and she was looking for a school for her own kids, and she was shopping around, and two things were really important to her. One, she wanted a school that had high academics, because she believed that we need to develop our minds and learn all that we can and grow in that area, and that we should have high standards and strive for excellence. And then she also wanted a school that was coming from a faith perspective, that all of that was grounded in the Christian faith. And she could not find a school that was doing both of those things together. And so she had just finished a master's degree in education and written a paper on what makes great schools. And so she thought, well, there's not a school out there like that, so I'm just going to have to start my own school. So she did, and I was hired as one of her very first employees. And we were a tiny little school. But this mission that you see up there is why people came. That mission that Nancy said, there's got to be a school like this out there. Every person we had come through the door would say, I want that for my family. And we just grew and grew. My first year we had 23 students. And we just grew and grew and grew, because not only families, but employees came. You'll find a lot of our people have been here a very long time, because we believe this is how education ought to be done. And we're very intentional about how we go about things at the Bear Creek School. So you'll see that high academic standards. We believe God's given us these amazing minds, and we need to learn all that we can learn about His creation and the world, and do it the best we possibly can. You'll see things from our Christian faith perspective that gives us a view on how we understand these things. And then a couple other parts that are really important to us. That you see the individual that God intends. We are not a one-size-fits-all school. We consider every student who walks through our doors and into our classrooms a unique individual created by God with value because they're God's creation, and they're all unique. And so we can't just do well, we're going to teach you all the same. We have to look at every single student and go, we want to understand who you are, what gifts God's given you, what talents you have, what things come easily, what things are hard for you, where you demonstrate virtues easily, and where you need to grow in virtue. And we really study each one of our kids and then try to help them grow in all those things as an individual. It also creates a climate and a culture at the Bear Creek School where when you say, like, do kids compare themselves to one another? Well, what we try to do is celebrate the gifts in one another. So yes, we can compare a little bit. We go wow, that's amazing that God made you to be such a caring person. That's a gift that you have. Wow, that's amazing that God made you that math comes so easily to you. That's a gift that you have. Let's celebrate those gifts in community. So we don't shy away from the differences necessarily. We celebrate the differences because we're unique individuals made by God, and all those gifts come from Him. And so that's a little bit about our culture and climate. We're very mission driven, so we're continually asking ourselves, is that a nurturing way to be with kids? That's another important word in our mission statement. And research shows that if kids do not feel safe and cared for and known in their environment, it inhibits them from learning. So those are 3 words that are really important to us. We want every student to feel like I matter in this place, and the adults in this place care about me and know me. Those are parts of our culture. We're going to talk about a couple curricular areas in here in a little more detail, and then you're going to hear about all our other areas of the curriculum on tours as you walk around and see more parts of our program. But the reason we're going to talk about these 2 in here, and the 2 are reading and math, is because those are the 2 most important skills your children will learn in the lower school years. It's not that all the other subjects aren't important. Of course science is important, and computer programming is important, and history is important, but reading and math are the foundations for learning all those other things. We got to get that foundation laid strong in the lower school years so that it propels them to learn all the other subject areas. So let's start off talking a little bit about our reading program. And you'll see a slide up there that talks a little bit about it. The first word up there is differentiated. And what we mean by that is your child is unique, and they are going to come into school at different places in their reading ability. And we want to take them exactly where they enter, and then take them as far as we can possibly go with them as an individual. So we have kids who come into kindergarten who are already reading novels. We have kids who come into kindergarten who are just ready to learn to begin to read. And we want to take them where they entered, and then do our instruction in a way that takes them as far as they can go, as fast as they can go. There's a lot of research that shows the best way to be a great reader is to read a lot. And so the sooner we can get them to be readers, the better. We want to get them reading as quickly as we can. Secondly, you'll see we have a phonics-based approach. We believe phonics is one of the ways that you get kids to be quick readers. Phonics is how they learn to decode words and read words, and they will propel into being strong readers faster if they have a strong phonics-based approach. We'd also do that individualized, so if they already know that phonics skill, we're not going to spend more time on that phonics skill. We're going to put it into practice and let them use that phonics skill to read. The other thing we know about phonics, and I went to Oregon State 100 years ago because I'm old, but they were really going away from phonics and kind of doing this whole language movement. Maybe you guys have heard about that, but it's the idea that when you're an adult, why do we read? We read for meaning, we read for understanding, we read to learn things, right? And they kind of had this premise that if you teach little kids phonics, they won't understand that reading is about meaning. But we would say, right, reading is both. Phonics helps them learn to read, but of course we want them to know that they have to comprehend and they have to understand. So it's not one or the other, it's both. And then the other thing that we found is when kids didn't get that phonics approach, their vocabulary did not increase, because I'll tell you what happens. We learn to memorize a lot of words, don't we, when we're reading? We see it, we know it, we see it, we know it. The more you read, the more words you have memorized. But kids who don't have a phonics approach, every time they run across an unfamiliar word, they have no way to attack that word, so they just skip it and go, I can figure out what's going on without this word. This word doesn't matter, I can still understand it. But every time you skip words, you're not building up your vocabulary. So kids who have a strong phonics program, they have attack skills for those words, and they take a look at them and go, I think I know what that word says based on the phonics skills I know, and then it goes into their brain as that's a new word now that I know and understand. So phonics is really important for that reason as well. In the lower grades, you'll see reading time mostly as where they go to different stations, and that's designed so that those stations can be individualized in their growing skills. As they get older, we use more of a novel-based approach. We pick quality literature, and then we teach them vocabulary, phonics skills, and comprehension strategies through that literature. There is still an individualized part of the program, but by third grade, there's a common basis for we're all readers, and then they can grow in their reading levels in a more individualized approach. Last important part of our reading program is we do teach comprehension strategies as well. Remember when I said phonics is a part of it, how you learn to read, but then understanding is the big thing, right? And what they found by studying readers and kids who had difficulty with reading is that kids who didn't have strong comprehension, their brains weren't doing certain things when they were reading. So most of you, when you're reading, your brain is going, I've seen something like this before. I think I know what's going to happen next. That reminds me of a time that happened to me, right? Our brains are processing things and making connections as we read. Kids who don't have strong comprehension, their brains are not doing those same things. So they literally have to be taught for their brains to do those things. What happens, though, is kids who are naturally good at doing those things, when they're thinking about their own thinking, it actually makes their comprehension go even deeper. So learning the strategies of what our brains do and how our brains think and how our brains learn things actually benefits both the low readers and the high readers. So we really intentionally teach them those things as they apply strategies towards reading comprehension. So you could tell, I could talk about reading for another 20 minutes, but I can't because we have a bunch of other stuff we want to tell you about. So we're going to move on to math, and then I'll try to go quick because I know I'm already running out of time. But so math, also foundation for so many things they're going to learn later. It's a way of thinking, it's a logic, it's a grammar that they have to know and understand to take things at a higher level. Again, we have a differentiated approach with math. It looks a little different with math. In kindergarten, it looks pretty similarly to what I described with reading. They go to different stations, and those stations are designed to hit their different individual levels. But starting in first grade, we have a very unique approach at the Bear Creek School, and we've been doing this for about 25 years, maybe even more than that, and I don't know of any other school that does this, honestly, K through 12. We place kids in the right math class according to ability. And it means that we all have to coordinate it K through 12 math time so that we can offer the right amount of math courses for kids to be in the math course that best fits them. What we find with math is most people, by the time they're high school, young adult, either go, I like math, I hate math, right? And we're trying to get kids to engage in math in a healthy way, I feel successful with math for as long as possible by getting them at the right pacing. We find two things. One, the kid who it's going too slowly for them, they walk out of math every day like, this is not inspiring, this is not motivating, this is dull because it's going too slowly for me and the pacing that I need, and I want to be a little more inspired with learning new things about mathematics. On the other side of it, kids who walk out every day going, I don't think I'm quite understanding this. This is going a little too fast for me, and my thinking is behind where this is headed, are also pretty quickly go, I don't think I'm good at math. And so what we do is we place them in the math level that we think is best for them. Nobody's placed below grade level. They're all either at grade level or working above grade level. And that pacing helps them to feel successful, like I'm at the right pace for me. We have had kids go all the way through Bear Creek right at grade level, so grade level is not holding them back in any way, and go on to be engineers and doctors, and so but it's the pacing that's right for them. So they're going out of class each day feeling like I am successful at math. And then we have kids who are very academically talented at math, who are placed above grade level, and then it also allows them to excel in that area where they have natural talents and abilities at a young age. So that's how our math program works. We use Saxon for the younger years, for what we call the grammar stage in classical education. It is very strong in the grammar of mathematics, the basic foundations of mathematics. Saxon's one of the best we've found out there for that. No curriculum's perfect. Saxon's not perfect either. It's just a textbook. The teachers have to take it and go, I am bringing everything I know about education, everything I know about the students in my class, everything I know about good lesson design, and I have to take that book and teach that in a way that's meeting the math needs of my students. So the good news is Bear Creek's been doing it for a lot of years, so we've been able to refine, like, here are the parts we don't like, here are the ways we think it needs to be enhanced, here are the extra lessons that need to be done where we don't think it teaches it as well. And so we've been really pleased with where we are now with using Saxon as our primary textbook in those ages. So a few other areas that I'm going to cover just really, really quickly, and you'll hear more about all of these on your tours. But we do a unique thing with social studies or history. We start at grade 3 with a spiral that actually goes all the way through to their senior year, where we go ancient, medieval, modern. And as they get older, it actually connects all the way through, like their English class is doing ancient literature, that period of history, at the same time that their history class is doing ancient civilizations, and then the Christian Studies department also builds on that of, like, here's what was happening in the church at that time. So it's a really nice integrated approach, and that begins building those pieces when they're in 3rd grade. In kindergarten, they learn about communities, so it's more of a social studies curriculum. They learn about, like, what do we all as humans made in God's image have in common, and what do different cultures have that are unique and can be celebrated, that those are parts of God's good creation too. And science, I think I'm going to leave science to, you'll hear about it on the tours. We'll show you the science labs. We have a lab-based approach, and you'll hear all about that. We also do monthly field trips, and that's because we learn by doing a lot and real-life experiences and actually seeing it in person. So we try to get them out of the building. You know, they might be studying the life cycle of the salmon in the 3rd grade, and we want to literally go see those salmon in the stream so that they get those connections. And we do weekly memorization. We do poetry and verse. We believe our brains are like muscles. The more you memorize, the better you get at memorizing. And we build up those muscles, and then they're also just valuable literature for them to have memorized. And you'll hear about all the specialist classes on the tour, and hopefully you got to see some of those back there. And you'll also hear about drama. on the tour, so I'm not going to go into drama. So one last slide, I think. Okay, so this is in 2014. I got to go back to Washington, D.C. and accept the Blue Ribbon of Excellence Award for the state of Washington. We were the only school in the state of Washington that got the Blue Ribbon of Excellence Award that year. We haven't applied for it since. It's not a thing that you necessarily apply for every single year. We'll apply for it again. We decided we'd do it every 10 years because you submit all kinds of data about your test scores and the quality of your teachers and things like that. But it was a really big honor to go and receive that on behalf of the Bear Creek School. And it said a lot about, remember that beginning commitment I said that we want to be a place of excellence? It said a lot of that, like you are doing excellent work. But I just want to share with you before I hand it off to some others, that is not why we do our work. We do not do our work because we want to get blue ribbons. We do our work because we believe we are raising up students who are going to impact their world and be people who are wise and courageous and compassionate. And so it's about a certain type of person and who they're becoming. And those are our outcomes. Those are the things that we want to work on. And we want to partner with families like you who would say, that's what we want for our kids too. We want to join the Bear Creek School and we want those outcomes for our family because we see that too. We see the world needs people who have wisdom, compassion, and courage and go out and impact and are equipped to impact. So we hope that you'll join us. I'm going to pass it off to some other people and then I'll get to talk to another group of you on a tour in a little bit. But I'd love to introduce our lower school division head. This is Mrs. Kristen Gephart, and we have worked together for a lot of years, and it's just been my privilege, and I hope you'll if you come to the Bear Creek School, you'll get to know this lady really, really well because she helps with the day-to-day program in lower school and every part of it. So, Kristen?
Thanks, Karen. Well, Karen shared that we're a mission-driven school, and it really takes a whole team of people to come together to deliver on this mission. I want to introduce Tracy Whitfield. She's our Dean of Students, and she's going to share a little bit about her role. And I'm going to talk about who are these people that help deliver this mission to our families and partner with parents in this great role. So, Tracy, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Hi, I am Tracy Whitfield, the lower school dean of students, and as the dean, I am focusing on facilitating student life outside the classroom. So what that means is I'm looking at recess, lunch, after school programs, chapel, and just making sure that the student life is well-rounded and supported, and that includes supervising the classroom assistants, and those classroom assistants are our staff members that are supervising during recess and lunch and supporting our students in the social emotional learning that happens so much outside of the classroom. So I just again, love supporting the students and partnering with you as we work on character development and making sure the well-rounded student is just cared for here. So,
thanks, Tracy. So I have the privilege of working with our classroom teachers, kindergarten through grade 4, and I have to say that God just keeps bringing the most amazing people on the planet that I get to work with. It's a joy. I really see my job is to help teachers be successful. So I am in classrooms with them, supporting them, trying to help them be the best that they can be, really providing a nurturing environment for our staff so that they can be the individual that God intends them to be. That second half of our mission statement. So we spend a lot of detailed time hiring and really trying to get to know the candidates that do apply to our school, making sure that they're a good fit. And because we know that hiring is one of the most important things we can do in terms of the life of a faculty and culture. We have a mentorship program for our new teachers so that they are supported weekly, daily, somebody on their grade level that checks in with them and helps them understand how we deliver on our mission together. And then I get a chance to check in with them. I observe them every week and give them feedback and try and help them grow as professionals, and then also just to provide that
that support for them. Because anytime you start a new job, and even if you've been doing it for a while, but if you start a new job in a new space, you need that support so that you can be successful. So I'll give observations and feedback, and then we have an amazing professional development program for our teachers, where the school will pay for teachers to get advanced degrees, and then also to go to conferences so that they can continue to grow and be the best teachers as well. We have a model at our school, just like we might use rubrics with students to help them move along a process of what makes a great writer or what makes a great reader. Well, we have a professional excellence model that has been specifically designed that defines what does great teaching look like, so that teachers actually know what it is that they're trying to do in the classroom. And then we set great individual goals for teachers to be able to grow and thrive, because we want them to be a part of a community where they feel like they're supported and that they're growing, because that's what keeps us alive as we continue to, it just spurs us on when we can find those places of joy in our lives. And I challenge you, if you get a chance to talk with a teacher today, just ask them why they're here. Ask them some questions, and you'll see just the beauty of our faculty. They are truly amazing. Well, later on, we're going to have you break up into groups, and we're going to be doing some touring. Ask your tour guide questions you have about what happens in the classroom and the program elements, because that'll be a great space for you to have your specific questions answered. And if they don't know, we will find the answer for you. I'm going to bring up our admissions team. I'd like to welcome Elisa Watkins. Thank you so much for all your organization, Elisa, for today. And she's going to share a little bit about our admissions process.
Well, thank you. I'm Elisa Watkins, and I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions for our lower school. So I'm really excited to see you all, because you're my people. Right? I've met so many of you already on interviews and on the telephone and on virtual information sessions, and I am blessed and I get the privilege of working with all of you. So I'll be helping you, shepherding your children's applications through the process, and I am your main contact for the lower school admissions, and I'm just so happy to be able to do that today. So I just want to let you know, if you haven't already started an application, it's easy. We make it easy for you. So you just go onto our website, admissions tab at the top, click on that big green button that says apply now. Click that, you can start an application right then and there. You just need to put in your email, create an account, and then you'll bring you into what we call our application portal. And then we start you on your way with your checklist. We're just trying to make it as easy as we can for you. It's all in one place. We do have some deadlines that I want you to keep in mind. We do have some current families with us who are looking to bring additional children to the school. That deadline for your application checklist to be complete is December 12th. And then for the rest of you who are new to Bear Creek, January 23rd is the deadline to get all of those things completed. And then what we'll be able to do is have you run through our first round of admissions and get you some decisions. So what we'll do is go through our re-enrollment with our current families, and that's when we'll know how many spots are available, because I know all of you are thinking, and all of you that I've talked to have already asked me the number one question: how many spots are available next year in the class for my child? Unfortunately, we can't tell you that. We will go through re-enrollment with our current families in the middle of January through the middle of February. We'll get a number, and then we just will pray on it and fill those spots with the best fit students. We take it very seriously, but we are just excited that you are all here with us today. And I'd like to bring up Christy Hazeltine. You've met her already, our Director of Admissions, and she'll go through a few more things for you.
Thank you, Elisa. Okay, so admission decision notifications, as you can see, most siblings will be January 17th. So that is so that we can coordinate re-enrollment. So, if you're a current family and you have someone enrolled now, we're coordinating re-enrollment with your new one that you hope to get into Bear Creek. And then K through 8, most decisions then will be made in March. There's a chance that we might be able to make some of those decisions a little bit earlier, but think in your mind March 10th, and if you happen to get a notification earlier, that's just the bonus. Okay, and then we have a need-based tuition assistance program. This past year, we awarded approximately 24% tuition assistance to about 25% of our student population. It is need-based. You apply through a third party, SSS, which is School and Student Services. There is a fee involved. It's very confidential. So the admission office handles the admission process. Our business office handles the tuition assistance process. And so in admissions, we don't know anyone's financial situation. That's not our job. But for current families, the due date to submit your tuition assistance application is June 9th. And then for new families, we ask that you submit your tuition assistance application at the same time that you submit your application for admission. And then the due date, again, for the application for admission is January 23rd. So do be sure to get your tuition assistance application in by that date, again, if you are a new family. Next slide. I'm happy to announce that we have a new scholarship here at Bear Creek. It's called the C.S. Lewis Legacy Scholarship. And this is the first time that we've ever had a scholarship for both returning students, re-enrolling, and for brand new families, K through 12. In the past, we only had one scholarship, the Nancy Price Scholarship, for new 9th grade students. But now, because we have had several very generous donors, we now have the C.S. Lewis Legacy Scholarship. It is a $2.6 million scholarship that is endowed, so it's going to be here for many years to come. It does require that anyone that wants to apply for this scholarship can do so on our website, but it does require that you also submit a tuition assistance application. And the same deadlines for tuition assistance applications apply. So if you're a current family and you want to apply for this scholarship, you need to have that application in and your tuition assistance application in December, and then for new families in January, by January 23rd, earlier when you're applying for the actual online application. And there are qualifications for that. So the C.S. Lewis Legacy Scholarship is intended for Christian families, for students that are in good academic and behavioral standing. So if those things apply to your family, you're welcome to apply. And how it works is, once you've applied for tuition assistance, the business office reviews your tuition assistance application, and if there is unmet need between what you receive for tuition assistance, that's where the scholarships kick in and help fund more, so that it makes coming to Bear Creek easier for families who have that financial need. So that's the application process in a nutshell. I know that here up on the screen is our contact information. Some of you are going to have questions about the application process itself. Like Elisa said, you just apply online. There's one form that you have to fill out, and then once you do that, all the other required items will show in the admission portal. In a nutshell, we do require admission testing for kindergarten and above. There are teacher recommendations involved. We ask for copies of report cards, depending on how old the child is, up to 3 years worth of report cards. You know, kindergartners, they don't have a report card yet. There is the interview. So all of those items will show clearly on the admission portal once you apply. And now we're going to do questions and answers.
Thanks, Christy. Before we go out on the tours, we wanted to give you a chance to ask any questions that you have. And if they're particular about curriculum, go ahead and save that for the tour because they'll be walking you through some of the other curricular areas. But if you have any other general questions about the Bear Creek School or about how things work, probably if you have that question, somebody else here has that same question. And I know it's a lot of people, so it's hard to jump out and ask a question, but we're here to answer for a few minutes before we break out into tours if people have questions. I've been doing this for a lot of years, and we have usually quite a number of questions, but I thought this is a really big group. We'll see if anybody has questions. Yes. Yes. Certainly. The question was that most of the people here are looking at K through 4, but what about middle school? What about upper school? So yes, we are a preschool through 12 school, and the program, I'm the vice president for academic affairs, actually preschool through grade 12. So my role is really to work with all the teams and tie all that together and make sure our program and our curriculum and our goals are being met all the way through. And so you are welcome to come on a middle school tour or an upper school tour, even if it's a long ways out for you, if you want to know more particulars about the program. But same mission guides, the experience, same level of excellence, same outcomes of wisdom, compassion, and courage. And it is one of the beautiful things about being preschool through grade 2 is we literally design all the way down to our preschool curriculum with input from our high school teachers of, the geometry program we do in preschool and kindergarten is based on our high school geometry teachers saying, these are the things that we need to begin developing in young students. So it's a pretty powerful thing to be able to have that progression all the way through. Did that answer, or did you have something particular you wanted to know? Over here. We do not, we do not have particular English second language classes at the Bear Creek School. We do have some people who are still improving their English skills. We have a little bit more of an immersion approach and then just work with the family on if there's any extra support resources needed to be successful in this environment here. Yes. Oh, good question. So he was asking, how do you get admitted into middle school or upper school if you've been here in the other divisions? So if you successfully completed the grade, you go to the next grade if you were successful. If for some reason a student is not successful, that would be an ongoing conversation with the family that Bear Creek might somehow not be meeting the needs, or it might not be the right match. That would never be a surprise, and it's not an exam they have to pass to move on. So that would be an ongoing process, and it wouldn't be a surprise.
Thank you. What is your admission rate? Out of the number of students who apply, how many get admitted?
Admission rate. We don't throw out a rate because it's so particular to a given grade, a given year. We have a little bit of space right now to expand in some grades too, if needed. So that'll change admission rates. We have preschool at the Valley campus. And then K through 8 in this campus, and we do have some classrooms for expansion if we had a bubble at a certain grade and we were going to add something of that grade. Kindergarten is by far your best chance to get in because everybody's new to kindergarten, all new families. First grade is another good opportunity to get in because we grow our class size just a little bit from kindergarten to first grade, so there's some spots that just naturally open up. But, if your family, if you think this is a fit for our family, like apply, because things open up and sometimes we expand. And I know you probably look around and think this is a lot of people, and it is, but we just always, every year we're amazed at the Lord brings those people who really have a heart desire to be here. The Lord provides. So apply if you really want to be here. Yes. Yeah, right. Yeah, go ahead.
Second question is, I want to apply for my daughter for the K. So what is the standard you evaluate the student for the kindergarten?
Yeah, good. Good question. So right now we have 3 kindergartens. We do have the opportunity to expand to 4 kindergartens if we need to. So that would be 4 classes of 16 possible spots available for applicants. So that's why I say kindergarten is the best chance to get in, not to discourage people with other grades. And then what we do for kindergarten, we basically do a readiness test. We look at their basic pre-reading, reading skills, their basic math development skills, and then we're also looking at their social emotional development. Are they ready for school? And so that's what the assessment is really just. Do they seem like they're developing at a rate they're ready for kindergarten and ready to engage in the kind of program that we offer? So they come in and do a session with us for us to determine that. What's that? Pardon? Oh, instead of answering like detailed questions about each testing thing, since we have so many people and limited time, you can either ask your tour guide or ask one of the admissions people about some of those particulars, or the information's also on our website. So we'll kind of take some of those off in smaller groups if that's okay. Yes. Correct. Correct. The question was, when do we start math placement? We start math placement in 1st grade. In kindergarten, it is differentiated, though, because we have kids also, just like in reading, we have kids at all different levels. And so the way that would look is, maybe you're a kindergartner and you're just developing your basic number concept. You're going to be doing things that are helping you develop your number concept. If you already have a good number concept and you're ready for addition or subtraction, you're going to be doing things at your stations where you're learning those skills. So they have it set in a way that kids can work at differentiated levels. It's a little intimidating to do math placement starting in kindergarten because it means going to different teachers for instruction, and we find developmentally 1st grade is the youngest age that we really feel comfortable doing that with. All right, I think we have time maybe for 2 more questions. Yeah? Fantastic question. How do parents get involved? Research shows that parent involvement is one of the key factors in kids' success in school, because it shows them you value education, it shows them you value their educational journey, and it shows them you value the school that they go to. So we love parent volunteers. There's many, many ways to volunteer. We have volunteers that work in our classroom with the students, if you're interested in doing that. We love volunteers to come in and help, especially with reading and math times, since those are differentiated. Parents can help us give kids right away feedback and help with our reading and math. There's lots of other events and parties, and there's all kinds of ways to volunteer, but we love parent involvement. This is not a drop your student off and see you later. This is we are living out this mission together as a team, so we consider parents an important part of our team. One more question, and then we probably need to go on tours. And please, if you didn't get your question answered in here, feel free to ask your tour guide, and they can help too. Sure, great question. Social emotional support. So, as I said before, like we want to develop them as whole people. And so we do intentionally teach virtues. We intentionally teach social emotional learning things that help them grow in those virtues. And so we have curriculum and program that we teach kids in social emotional skills. We also have a student support specialist who is a licensed counselor who helps us in some of those situations. She'll sometimes work with a student. Most often she works with the other adults to help them working with that student. But just in a broad way, we teach a lot of those skills from a faith perspective with the way that we approach it. Yes. Good question. Yeah, good question. I keep thinking, I gotta get you guys out on tours, but you have such good questions. The question was about the interaction between the different ages of students, since we have K through 12 all on this campus, and then if there's any like bullying or that kind of thing with older students being with little kids. There is some intentional interaction. We love when I actually just met with our senior class president, and she was like, could we please go volunteer in lower school classrooms? We want to give back from like all that we were given by serving the little kids. And so we do things like that where they can go into the classroom and serve because they love that. We do things like Junior Grizzly Night where the little kids play at the high school basketball game. So lots of fun community things. But as far as just their day-to-day, they have their own space. We have, lunch times are with age-grouped kids and nobody else is even around. So for the most part, kind of their day in, day out, they have almost no interaction with the older kids. They're out on recess by themselves. In this building, it's K through 8, but downstairs is the lower school and the middle school is upstairs. And then the upper school is over there in that other building. So there's not a lot of interaction, but we do not have perfect students at the Bear Creek School, but we have amazing students at the Bear Creek School. So there's lots of kindness and encouragement and help to be seen every day across the divisions. So we see it as a positive thing that we're all in this community together and very rarely have any negative experiences with that. So I'm going to hand this to Elisa, and she's going to divide us out into tour groups, and then hopefully you'll get all your questions answered there, or find one of us if you have another question that you didn't get answered.
Thanks so much, Karen, and thank you, everyone. We have a lot to share about our wonderful school, and I'm sorry we didn't get to all of your questions. Please do feel free to ask your tour guide about those questions. If they're admission-specific questions, though, please find one of us. We'll be at the table on the way out today. And you can also leave with one of my cards or one of Christy Hazeltide's cards, just so you can know how to find us. 2 or 3 quick announcements, and then we're going to get you into tour groups. We're going to try to get you out as quickly as possible into these tour groups. This room is going to be turned around because lunch is going to happen pretty quickly around here, and we want to give our lovely facilities team some time to do that. So if you could maybe start gathering things, we need to ask you to take everything with you that you brought in with you. You're not going to be able to return to this room to pick anything up. It will be set for lunch when you walk past it to go out the front doors. And the other thing I wanted to say is just, again, feel free to ask lots of questions, admissions questions up front. Yeah, and if you want to just stay seated for now, Carrie is going to dismiss you to go with your tour groups, okay? Thanks so much.
Okay, we're gonna try this. We'll see how my math skills worked out. So we've got 9 tour groups today, so I'm gonna approximately divide you into about 20.